Ever wonder how life's unexpected twists can lead to profound transformation? Today, we share the incredible journey of a woman who found faith and purpose where she least expected it. Born into the hustle and bustle of a military family stationed in Germany, her childhood was anything but typical. By the time she turned 18, she had already attended 13 different schools across the globe, an experience that not only taught her to adapt, but also opened her eyes to a world of diverse cultures and perspectives.
My father was American military, so I was born in Germany. And from Germany, I traveled around the world with my father. Essentially, I went to 13 schools in 12 years.
For some, this kind of upbringing would be unsettling, but for her, it ignited a lifelong curiosity and an openness to new ideas. A trait that would later lead her on an unexpected journey.
I think that my growing up the way that I did left me open to new ideas, left me open to new cultures.
Raised in a conservative Catholic household, religion was the bedrock of her upbringing. Her father, a staunch Southern Baptist, instilled in her a strong sense of faith, while her mother's Catholic roots added another layer of spirituality.
I was raised as a Catholic. My father is a Southern Baptist, my mother was a Catholic, so in order for them to get married, he had to agree to raise us as Catholics, so that's what I grew up as.
The concept of God was deeply meaningful to her, yet as she matured, doubts began to creep in. The doctrine of the Trinity, in particular, baffled her. It seemed contradictory and confusing, a mystery that her faith couldn't quite explain. Despite these questions, she remained steadfast in her religious practice, clinging to the belief that answers would eventually come.
I believed that Jesus was God and the Son of God, and that if we didn't accept him and we didn't worship him, then we would go to hell. So that was my basic belief. We were quite religious, and my family was very conservative. The idea of God always resonated with me. At some point, I started to ask myself questions, and I even went to a Christian priest, a Catholic priest, and I asked him about the concept of the Trinity because it was very strange and it was hard to intellectualize. I'm a very logical, intellectual type person. So the way that he explained it was like nonsense to me. I had a hard time understanding it and accepting it, but I really believed in God, and everything around me, everybody around me was saying Jesus is God, the Son of God. Who was I to be questioning it?
Everything took a sharp turn in high school when she was recruited for an unusual mission, one that would forever change her life. She was tasked with targeting Muslim women, encouraging them to abandon their faith for what was touted as a more liberated and feminist lifestyle.
In high school, my dad's commander came to me and he said, look, we know your family, we know your position, we know that you are really good at debating and talking to people and convincing people, and your grades are good and you're a good Christian. So we want you to be part of this group, and you are going to take women away from practicing Islam to basically being free and feminist and living their lives.
At the time, her knowledge of Islam was limited to stereotypes and misconceptions she had absorbed from her school textbooks and media. She knew little about the actual tenets of the faith she had been assigned to dismantle.
So my mentality was, these poor women. I really had no clue what Islam was. I'd never really studied it or learned about it. In school we have the classes. In our book in high school, it said that Muhammad was an epileptic and he would have epileptic fits. He would get drunk, and I mean, it was just horrible stories that were not true. So I really didn't know anything about Islam. So I thought Muslim women are backwards, they don't know the real life, and that's what motivated me. I wanted to fix them, I wanted to save them. They knew that taking people away from Islam is very difficult, but to make them weak Muslims was easy.
It wasn't until she pursued a degree in international relations that her worldview began to shift. While studying global politics and religions, she decided to research Islam, not out of genuine interest, but to better arm herself with arguments to oppose it. She began reading the Quran in the evenings, expecting to find flaws or contradictions that would reinforce her preconceptions.
And And while I was in the university, I was learning about Islam in the evenings. In the evenings, I was sitting with a group of Christians, well, actually it was mostly Jews, that would teach me Quran and Hadith and how to play with it. You know, in the Quran, it says to take your veil and to put it over your bosom. Well, it doesn't say over your head, it says over your bosom. So if you wear a shawl, you're doing what the Quran says. So somebody who doesn't have a lot of knowledge of Islam and doesn't know that the women were already covering their head and it was just fixing the hijab, not that they didn't have to cover their head, it'd be easy to misguide them. So they were teaching me to do these types of things. But in order to do that, I had to read Quran. I had to read Hadith. What they wanted was the power and the control. They also recognized that, because I did question, why are we targeting feminism and women? And their answer is, if you destroy a man, you destroy a man. If you destroy a woman, you destroy the generations that come after her. So they become less practicing of Islam. They become weaker and more focused on the dunya and not on the akhirah. These people can be easily manipulated and moved and done whatever they want to do with them. They don't care if these people go to Jannah or Jahannam. What they care about is we can control them, we can manipulate them, we can make this society do what we want them to do. You know, there's an old saying that the strongest way to control people is sex, drugs, and music. And by music, it means like all of media. So utilizing these things, you keep people doing what you want to do or focused on life, so the ones in power can do whatever they want to do. And you don't notice it and you don't care because you're focused on, I need this car, I need to be beautiful, I need to, you know, like now, I need the likes, I need whatever it is that I need that is dunya oriented.
But instead of finding fault, she found herself intrigued by the clarity and simplicity of its message, particularly the concept of monotheism. Islam's logical approach to the oneness of God resonated with her, challenging the fragmented understanding of divinity she had grown up with.
As you're reading the Quran, it is so logical. The Quran makes sense. When you're sitting there and reading it and looking over the verses, you're understanding there's only one God. This God doesn't have a child. This God is omnipotent. This God is everything that you may need in a God, everything that you would think is a God. It made sense. Nobody could answer the questions when I asked them about this Trinity. So it really appealed to my sense of logic.
Simultaneously, she delved deeper into Christianity, taking classes to solidify her own beliefs. However, these courses, taught by a Unitarian professor, had the opposite effect. They left her grappling with even more questions about the historical accuracy of the Bible and the foundations of her faith. Her academic journey, rather than reinforcing her Christian convictions, pushed her to explore other world religions in search of truth.
It's a Harvard graduate professor. He's like 80-something years old. He is very well known as a theological scholar for Christianity. And I said, okay, he's going to teach me the Old Testament, the New Testament from the original. We studied the Greek, the Hebrew, the Aramaic, the Latin. And the first thing he did in class, he picked up a copy of the Bible, the King James Version, in English. And he said, take this and throw it in the trash. My heart froze. And then he said, Jesus didn't speak English. And then he took us back. Turned out that he was a Unitarian, meaning that he believed that there was only one God and that Jesus was a prophet. Subhanallah. Still a Christian, but because of all the things he had studied, he had recognized that this had been a change in the Bible. So when he took us through the old documents, the changes, the additions, the deletion, and he gave us the historical connotations, like why did this happen, who did this, and why did they do it. So instead of getting a stronger faith, I completely lost faith in Christianity.
Despite her growing fascination with Islam, she resisted any thought of conversion. Adopting the faith would mean an upheaval of her carefully laid out plans for a prestigious career and a comfortable lifestyle.
I wanted the dunya. I wanted this life. I wanted the money, I wanted the class, I wanted the position. I didn't want to lose all of this. And I knew that if I became a Muslim, that's exactly what's going to happen.
Yet, two pivotal events changed everything. First, a haunting nightmare left her shaken, as though it was a warning from a realm beyond her understanding.
I had this dream where I'm running, and I'm terrified. There's something behind me, and it's evil. I can't see it. All I can do is hear it. And I know that it's coming after me, and I know that it's evil and it wants to destroy me. I woke up terrified. At that moment, I begged. I said, oh God, Jesus, Muhammad, Buddha, I don't care who you are. I need to know the truth. I need to know who you are. Before this time, I'm reading and studying to not want to be a Muslim, because I loved the Quran, but I didn't want Islam. It would destroy everything. After the dream, I wanted to know the truth. So my intention completely changed.
Soon after, she crossed paths with a traveling Muslim scholar during a chance meeting. Their conversation, intense and profound, stretched through the night, unraveling all her doubts and fears. As dawn broke, so did the final walls of her resistance. She declared her faith.
The man, his name was Namatullah. He had to be over 80. Big white beard, no black hair anywhere, only white hairs, but very intelligent. And I'm questioning him, and he's telling me, no, in the Bible they changed this. No, this was actually added, and so forth. The same things that my professor had said. And then it clicked. This is the truth. I can't deny it. I can't keep denying it, and now it makes sense. It's logical. And that's what convinced me. That point, I decided if I had been a Jew when Isa alayhi salam came, I would have had to accept Isa alayhi salam. So how can I now deny Muhammad, even if it means giving up my life? It wasn't easy, and I honestly believe that Allah strengthened me. When I took the Shahada, I felt something I never felt before. I was saying Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, and I felt like there was something heavy on my chest that had been ripped off. I literally went, and it was as if for the first time in my life, I had breathed in.
This life-altering decision came with a heavy cost. Her family, unable to understand her choice, disowned her. She was expelled from her university and faced relentless discrimination in the job market, especially after she adopted the hijab. For an entire year, she endured hardship after hardship, but not once did she waver. Each struggle felt like a test of her newfound faith, and with every trial, her belief in God grew stronger.
I called my father, who at that time was in Germany, and I was like, I became a Muslim. And his words, are you crazy? Have you been brainwashed? What's wrong with you? He wasn't happy, of course. And he told me, that's it. I'm sending a ticket. Tomorrow you'll be on a plane on your way to Germany. And I told him I can't. I said, I can't deny it. This is the truth. I cannot deny it. He told me he's sending me a ticket, which he did. It was delivered to the house the next day. And he said, if you don't take this ticket, I no longer have a daughter. You're dead to me. And wallahi, it's only from Allah that I was able to survive that, because I was very close to my family. But again, it was only from Allah. Only from Allah, because I'm not strong. I know that I'm not a strong person.
Eventually, her resilience paid off. A family crisis opened the door to reconciliation with her father. Though her journey had been fraught with pain, she felt an unwavering sense of peace and fulfillment in her heart. Islam had provided her with the answers she had long sought, and the trials she endured only deepened her conviction that she was on the right path.
My father by that time was in Puerto Rico. He was the base commander in Puerto Rico. He called me and he said, there's been a threat on the lives of all of us that work on the military and federal buildings here. All of these positions, them and their families have been threatened by a group of people who wanted Puerto Rico to be independent. So my father called me and he's like, you'll have security at your house within an hour. And he sent a Marine to my house to guard. After that, I was there for like a couple of days, and then he flew me to where he was, in our home in South Carolina. And he took me back at that moment.
Years later, her story has become a beacon of inspiration for others. What began as a mission to lead Muslim women away from their faith had transformed into a profound journey of self-discovery and spiritual fulfillment. Her life is a testament to the transformative power of faith, a reminder that sometimes the pursuit of truth takes us down roads we never imagined.